Day 5 of the Tennafitzgerald. We will go 6. Common will be back next Tuesday, so one more Tennafitzgerald after this week is over. But Brandon Molesky in today for the Common Man Dan Cole, noon to 3. Brett Blakemore with me as well. His 4th day of 5 days on the Tennafitzgerald. You getting a little seasick over there, Brett?
Well, my shoes are waterlogged, but we'll worry about that on Tuesday. So yeah, it's been okay.
I think that's a compliment. We have some guests today. So I love Fridays because Lil B always comes in. Lil B's the best. We'll talk with her at 1 o'clock. And then program password today. Of course, Lil B's playing. I'm playing today, which is a rare occasion. Brett is going to be the host over there. Hopefully you got all the words put together, Brett.
I do.
We had a little miscommunication on the guest today because I said, Brett, I'm going to play password on Friday. I need you to put it together. I meant, put the words together.
I thought you meant put the game
together. You started booking guests. I already booked guests, and now we have to call guests and say, sorry, we double booked here.
Right.
But Paul Charchian, who doesn't appear on Password as much as he once did because he lives out in Utah, but he's in town for a couple of days here doing all of this fantasy football world stuff. So Charch is going to come in at 1:30, and Kevin Gorg. The two of them once put together one of the greatest preposterous statements together of all times, the hundreds of pounds that horses lose. But they'll be teaming up. I will team up with Lil B, so we'll play Password at 1:30. And then we will talk with Dan Hayes of The Athletic at 2:30 today. Just had him on a couple days ago, breaking down the Orioles series and previewing the Field of Dreams game. And now I wanted to get his reaction afterwards of the Field of Dreams game, see how traffic go, everything away from the game. It seemed like there was a lot going on last night. So, including a preposterous statement tournament nominee on the broadcast last night. This was on Netflix. The name is Matt Veskursion. Play-by-play. Did a great job. I enjoyed the broadcast. I thought Netflix knocked it out of the park. You always worry with the streaming stuff, whether there's lag and delays and things cutting out and
buffering.
Yeah, buffering and dropping. And I didn't watch the whole game. I saw the first couple innings. And I saw the last couple innings. The middle of the game, I checked out there for a little bit. But I thought the broadcast was sweet. Obviously, the location looked amazing. But as great as the announcer was last night, he did come up with a preposterous statement tournament nominee. And I think the Twitter account at KFAN PST got about this nomination about 40 times, which is usually an indication this will be a number 1 seed next year.
To Iowa begins with the Polad family, a longtime and beloved Twins ownership group from West Des Moines.
The Polads, longtime and beloved ownership group. They have been a long-time ownership group.
From Des Moines.
They took over in the 80s. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, from my hometown.
That's where you're from?
Now
I knew you're from Iowa.
I don't admit that anymore.
Des Moines, yeah, you and the Polads. Maybe you went to school with one of their kids or grandkids.
I'd love to have some cash from them, but they wouldn't give me.
The beloved ownership group. I can't tell you how many times I had that nomination sent to me and the KFAN PST Twitter account last night, and I think it's going to do well. And I know they've made some changes over there. They're trying their hardest to change the public relations of the team, and I applaud their efforts to do so. I just think it's going to take some time.
I'm going to say something controversial.
That's interesting.
I think this wins.
You think it wins?
I think this wins the entire...
oh my gosh.
That's going to be a popular vote on X, on Twitter.
I'm trying to remember. It's hard for me to remember anymore all the preposterous statement tournament nominees we have. I will just say we do have Vikings and Packers season coming up. We have football season, especially for the 9 to noon show. That's usually when the preposterous statements come out and PA starts rolling. So we have lots of time here, but like I said, just based off of the indication of how many times someone sent that to me, this is going to be a top seed and probably has a good shot to win. So congratulations on Matt last night. There was another piece of Twins-related audio that caught my ears last night. You remember Josh Donaldson, right? Not Ryan Donaldson.
Not Chad in his throat?
No, yeah, not that one. Not former program password champion who won't play password anymore, and I'm bitter about it. Josh Donaldson former Minnesota Twin, if you recall. At the time, one of like our biggest free agent spendings, right? We were notorious for not going out and spending free agency. And they spend $90-some million on Josh Donaldson. The run did not go well here. And basically every athlete and former athlete and just every human being on the planet now has a podcast. So he was on one of those podcasts. And despite all the money he's made in his career, apparently there's still some bitterness and anger out of him because he kind of was ripping on Minnesota baseball fans and even more so the Twins organization. Here's the audio.
Nice, right? Like, it's like that's the phrase. Like, people in Minnesota, I don't even think they care about baseball that much. Playing there for 2 years, it wasn't, I thought it was mediocre at best. Derek Shelton, he's the manager and stuff there, in which I'm sure he's changed it up in the clubhouse some or whatnot. But when I was in Minnesota, it just didn't seem like they had a culture to win or care to win. So everything was analytics this, everything was analytics that, and there was no reasoning. I was like, hey, show me some reasoning. Sorry, I'm going on a rant right now.
So the first part, it seemed like he was just ripping on baseball and Minnesota in general. I wonder if he just misspoke there when speaking more about the Twins. I don't know why you'd go after Minnesota baseball fans, especially the 2 years he played were 2020 and 2021. 2020, we didn't even have fans at games that year, did we?
I don't think so.
Wasn't the COVID, like the COVID shortened season and they didn't even have fans in the crowd?
Not in this state.
That might be why they didn't care.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it from his perspective, though, because with all the poll ads, we were just talking about the beloved poll ads.
Yeah.
If he comes in, doesn't know anything about the town or the situation, and sees half-empty stadiums, he'll probably come to the conclusion of, well, no one cares about baseball here. Well, the reality is there's underlying frustration and annoyance with the ownership that keeps people from going to the ballpark.
Well, back then, I don't know if we had as much annoyance. I think that
there were still some.
There were some, but the most annoyance has happened in the last couple of years when they finally won a playoff series and then decided to cut payroll. And then the following year, they basically removed the entire bullpen and half the roster, right? Like, there was always the common mans of the world that would hate on the poll ads. I still think that was a little bit in the minority. The rest of what he was saying, I really don't have a problem with. Like, the whole, like, they didn't have a culture of winning. I think that directly is tied to ownership. Other than Josh Donaldson, they weren't going to go out and spend money. Now, the opposite side of this is, while some of what he was saying is true, he shouldn't be the one saying it, right? Like, his performance in his 2 years here, he did not play well enough. Like I said, he signed a $92 million contract over 4 years. And within 2 years, we traded him because we wanted to get out of the contract because it was very underwhelming on his standpoint. He got traded to the Yankees. We got back Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela in return. But he started off with injury issues the first year. He missed a significant portion of 2020 with right calf tightness. He ended up missing the playoffs. He wasn't on the playoff roster that year against the Houston Astros because of his injuries. So he missed the wild card series. Then opening day the following year, remember that opening day, he's running the bases and gets hurt again after he just had a bunch of injuries the year before. Never good when day one you're rounding bases and you get hurt. That to me sounds like someone that wasn't putting himself in the proper shape. So he had a hamstring strain there. He didn't hit that well here. He didn't perform that well here. He wasn't worth the 4-year, $92 million contract. So Josh, well, a lot of what you're saying is true. You should not be the one to say it. Right? It's, to me, it's like, do you have brothers and sisters?
Older sister.
Okay. It's a little different.
Yeah.
I have two brothers, right? Like, we would hate on each other all the time. But if someone from outside the family comes and hates on your brothers, then all of a sudden you stick up for your brothers, right? I feel like Josh Donaldson is not enough on the inner side here to start ripping apart the organization when you were here for a short time and you didn't do diddly squat. Like, if Kirby Puckett like Johan Santana once called out the organization, that made sense. The guy had won a Cy Young. He has earned the right to rip on the team. Josh Donaldson, Josh Donaldson, you are not in that place to be able to do that. You did not do a very good job here. We will do Peek at the Purple next. We're going to preview Vikings-Giants preseason game. There is actually some talkers regarding that preseason game. That'll be at noon tomorrow. We'll do that next on the Fitz.
Welcome aboard the Tennafitzgerald. In for comment on the Fan.
Program Password starts in about an hour. Exclusive KFAN interviews and catch the moments, reactions, behind-the-scenes fun you won't get on the radio alone. Watch KFAN.com/watch. It's powered by Quantum Fiber Internet.
I would definitely watch at 1:30 p.m. today. It's the Program Password. Brett's hosting.
Oh boy!
I fell on the little B sword. I said, if anyone's going to handle her rage, the red in her eyes, shooting lasers, I will handle it. I know Kevin Gorg struggles in those situations, and then basically, if Church was on her team, that's like a super team, and it would just be lopsided. So I'll team up with Lil B, and if we lose, she can blame me and throw me under the bus. That's fine. But you can watch that today at KFAN.com/watch.
And you're reuniting one of the greatest teams in fan history.
Sometimes those horses can't get up in their stall the next day. They're just exhausted.
Sure.
He got up. He was eating good, putting that weight back on. They all lose hundreds of pounds when they run the Derby. So
whoa.
good, hundreds of pounds.
What?
Well, they weigh over a ton. They lose hundreds of pounds
in a 2-minute race.
Absolutely.
A horse will drop 100 pounds.
Church, it's a 2-minute race.
Are you talking about the jockey getting off the horse?
No, they go between 35 and 40 miles per hour. Full energy. Going a mile and a quarter under that duress, they lose a bunch of weight.
Save that for 1:30 today.
Yes.
We might have to replay that before
Has anyone ever tested that?
I've never seen the two of them in the room together since that infamous preposterous statement, which to this day is my favorite preposterous statement ever uttered, and it didn't even win. It lost to a good statement from Amy Van Dyken, but still, I think if we could go back again and redo the vote, that one's coming up roses.
Real quick, did I tell you that I've done this for years, 7 years now, and I've always done the hundreds bit just because I've heard it.
Yeah.
I go, oh, okay. And I knew that statement. I never connected the two until like a month ago. I was like, oh, that's why they do that.
Yeah.
Because it's from the Kevin Gorg bit. Yeah.
Basically, with the Common Man, there's literally hundreds of bits that like him and I will do just with each other, just to make each other laugh, that nobody, like people listening don't even know. There's some that like 4 of us in the building know what we're talking about. But yeah, there's a lot of inside joke bits but that one's not inside. We definitely knew that one. Peek at the Purple. It's brought to you by Affordable Electric. You can get more information at affordableelectric.com. Vikings Giants. The preseason finally begins. Is that the negatrometer for the Vikings, or is that just for Affordable Electric?
It's shockingly affordable.
It was shockingly affordable. Noon start tomorrow. Pregame at 10 a.m. You'll hear that right here on the Fan. I have 4 things I'm looking for in this game, Brett, and I'm not going to say I'm excited, but that I'm interested in, curious. Number 1 clearly is going to be, how does Kyler Murray look in a purple uniform? He's going to get the start. I have a feeling he's not going to be out there very long. I would imagine he plays 1 series and then he's done. And same with the offensive starters. Now, I'm guessing most of the offensive starters will be out there, except they ain't putting Darrisaw out there. They ain't putting Justin Jefferson out there. But everyone else probably is going to be out there. We'll get to see, Murray throwing it to Addison and Juwan Jennings and Hawkinson. See how the offensive line looks without Christian Darrisaw. But even though we'll look back at this game and go, well, that one drive was meaningless. Once we hit October, I won't even remember who we played in the preseason. I won't remember how Kyler Murray looked on his one drive. Hopefully 1 drive. If he's going out 2 drives, that means they went 3 and out first drive, or he threw an interception or we fumbled the ball. But hopefully it's 1 drive. none of us are ever going to remember, and this drive is going to be meaningless, but at least there is some curiosity of how we're going to look with a brand new quarterback that has, a different style of play and an entertaining style of play. Second thing I'm looking forward to? I'm just interested in seeing.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how J.J. McCarthy responds. Once again, we'll just preface this all by saying meaningless game, but he just got some news that he didn't win the quarterback competition, and maybe this wasn't shocking to him. Maybe he knew all along he wasn't going to win the quarterback competition, but when it's official there and it's in black and white and you now know your result, I'm curious whether we see a J.J. McCarthy that is sulking a little bit.
Disinterested.
Yeah, just, not sad, but maybe just going through the motions a little bit. Or do we see a J.J. McCarthy goes, oh, not going to start, huh? I'm going to show you. And then, comes out with some anger, plays with some intensity and enthusiasm, says, I'm going to show you guys I can play. And maybe comes out, and that would be a great thing for us. One, in case Kyler Murray ever gets hurt, or if Kyler Murray has a poor performance, or if we want to trade J.J. McCarthy, we want his value to go up. So either way, J.J. McCarthy playing well today, or tomorrow, would be great for all involved. That's number 2 I'm interested in. Are you interested in either of those, by the way?
Yeah.
You're a Packers fan.
No,
you don't care.
That's probably the only 2 things I'm interested in is how the quarterback situation plays out.
I have more.
Yeah.
Number 3. After talking with Aaron Jones yesterday at Vikings training camp, myself and John Creasel. By the way, Aaron Jones.
No chance.
Aaron Jones, unbelievable dude. That guy was super cool, super nice, super genuine. I mean, you always hear these things about some of these athletes, and we'd always been told Aaron Jones is a great person, but until you meet him, you really don't know what to believe. Oh, he was a former Packer, so of course he was a great guy.
He was an unbelievable guy.
But after the interview's done, he comes over and gives me the bro hug, like we'd been best buddies, He stayed and talked to Creasel a little bit afterwards. Most athletes, it's get in, get out of the interview, and get me on the cart and get me back over there. And he was hanging around for a little bit and talking. I thought that was really cool of him. But he said something that my antenna went up a little bit. My Tenna antenna went up a little bit because I've heard from reporters a couple different times throughout training camp. Whenever we're not getting quarterback competition tweets, occasionally you'll get little nuggets about other things. And I'd seen other people, like journalists, Vikings reporters say, Jordan Mason's got a little bit of a burst to him. He's looking a little faster. And when I asked Aaron about that yesterday,
shoulders are sculpted.
When I asked Aaron about that yesterday, he said, "Yeah, I've definitely seen that burst. He does look faster. He looks speedier." He goes, "Not that he wasn't fast last year, but he said he lost 10, 12, 15 pounds, somewhere in that range." So he clearly has put in the work this offseason. Mason's always been a big dude and can run you over a little bit. But you throw a little speed and a little bit of wiggle on that. I'm curious, Now, I don't know how much we're going to see him tomorrow. He might only get 2-3 carries. Maybe he gets a catch out in the flat. But I want to see if there is a little bit of a speed burst there, because going into this season, you'd have to think, well, our rushing game is not in the top half of the league. We're in the bottom half of the league, maybe bottom 5 or 10 in the league in terms of a rushing attack. They've talked endlessly about how they want to change things and run the ball more. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you kind of have the same talent here, right? But if you have a guy like Jordan Mason who is getting more out of his talent because he's gained more speed and more athleticism, that could be a good thing for the Purple. So I'm curious to see in his limited action tomorrow what Jordan Mason's going to look like. And the final thing I am curious about tomorrow would be the performance of all the rookies, more specifically on the defensive side of the ball, but all the rookies. First draft without Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. They kind of had the interim GM thing going on with Rob Brzezinski, which to me meant coaches had a lot more input, which, by the way, we're hearing behind the scenes that the coaches are high on the rookies, but it's probably because they were also their guys in the draft. Defensive line alone, Caleb Banks and Big Citrus. Curious to see how those two look now that we are going younger on the defensive line. Jake Golday had a splashy moment earlier in camp when he picked off, I forget which, I don't know if it was Murray or JJ that he picked off, but he deflected one that was able to have Blake Cashman pick off. But there were moments in which Golday earlier in the camp was doing some edge rusher type stuff, and given they don't have a lot of depth behind Dallas Turner and Andrew Van Ginkel, I was waiting for them to go get another player. Maybe they're waiting to see how Golday can play in some of that. Now, he's still listed as an inside linebacker, but one of the strengths of him is that, hey, he can move around and play multiple positions. So, curious to see him. And then we've heard rave reviews about Chuck Deming's late cornerback selection in the draft. I'm sure these are the types of players that are going to be getting a run tomorrow. Like, we're going to probably see those guys extensively. And then the next Jahmyr Gibbs, Damon Claiborne, who I've heard is very fast, very speedy, probably needs to learn to pick up the playbook a little bit more at this stage. But a guy that might not get a lot of run this year if your running backs are healthy, but looking a year from now at this time, we could be talking about Damon Claiborne being your starter or part of a shared backfield. So those are the four things I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Vikings versus Giants. You can hear that game right here on the Vikings radio and audio network. Noon start, pregame at 10 with Muss. Brett, because you're in, we got to talk a little bit of Wild. An extensive Minnesota Wild segment I just saw over at the Athletic. They had their fan survey results come out, part 1. I want to hear your opinion on some of the results and how you feel, and I will definitely give my opinion as well. Minnesota Wild chatter before Lil B joins us in about a half hour.
Rock the boat, don't rock the boat.
Plugged into everything KFAN, sports updates, ticket giveaways, show highlights, and more. You can follow KFAN 1003 on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, X, and YouTube to stay connected and follow the sports leader, The Fan.
Got a text at the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. You can text us at 64686. Says, Tennafitzgerald, because it is Minnesota, here's what will happen. Kyler will have a really good year, similar to Darnold's 2 years ago. Management won't want a repeat of Darnold letting him walk, and then he wins the big game. They will re-sign Kyler and probably have to overpay him. Next year, Kyler will get hurt, and we are back to square one. He says, yes, I'm a long-suffering Vikings fan.
Man.
I don't know, the psychology of the Minnesota sports fan should be, like, studied. You know how they're, like, spending all this money on figuring out, like, CTE and athletes? They should... Also, our governor, our state, should be spending money on the mental health and what has gone wrong with the Minnesota sports psyche.
We've not found a cure for Avatar yet.
And even you, like from Iowa, have started to get some of this. You're from Iowa and you're a Packers fan, but even in some of this Wild-related, I feel like you're on board with this as well. We haven't gotten to talk a whole lot of Wild this week, Brett.
Because they haven't done anything.
No, they haven't. I had a Wild topic kind of in the bank, ready for you and me at any point when I needed a segment.
All right.
But we hadn't got to it. We'd had enough show all week. And then a different Wild one comes out. So that's the Wild topic we're going to go with. It was from The Athletic, Michael Russo and Joe Smith. They do their fan survey where they let all the Wild fans, Wild Roots. I'm assuming you filled out a survey.
I did.
At the Athletic. Mm-hmm. And so this is part 1 where they're revealing what the answers are. I'm going to go through each question. I would like you to answer it. I'll answer it, and we'll go back and forth, or maybe we'll just agree on all this.
Do you want me to have it pulled up, or do you want it to be
I can just read it to you, okay. But if you are more of a visual learner,
you're gonna question me on what the majority said.
No, I'm just going to say what you would vote for, right. And then I can explain what the majority did. But you don't need to guess what the majority did. All right, on a scale of 1 to 5. With 1 being cool as a cucumber and 5 being freaking out, how concerned are you that Quinn Hughes has yet to sign an extension? 1 is cool as a cucumber, 5 is you're freaking out.
To me, I'm probably at a 3.5 or 3. The national media, I don't know if you've seen this, but I'm getting the tweet sent to me that the national media are saying it's over. Like, it's
what do you mean?
Panic time for Minnesota. He's leaving. He's done. Because it hasn't happened yet. Now, why is this taking so long? Is it Bill Guerin sitting on his hands? Is it Quinn Hughes not wanting to talk? The reality is we just don't know. Unfortunately, Bill doesn't have the benefit of the doubt because we just went through this a year ago with Kaprizov, where we sat on our hands the entire time and didn't do anything. So I'm at a 3, but I'm pushing a 4. Closer to 4 every single day.
You and I are on different sides here. I'm at a 2.
Okay.
I guess I'm not one cool as a cucumber just because it is August 14th and nothing's happened yet. Yeah, this one's a little different than the Kaprizov situation. Because Kaprizov had already kind of held out on us a couple different times, right? It took him a long time to come over from Russia. And then he'd already had one contract before the first big contract, if you recall. And on that one, he didn't go the full 7 or 8 years that he could have on that. He cut that one shorter. And, Kirill is not, because of the language barrier, we don't get to see as much of his personality, and it's harder for us to fully know what he's thinking. And I think Russian players just might have a different mentality than a kid from Michigan anyway. So Kirill's always just had like this mysterious side where we really don't know what he's thinking. And I think that scared some people last year. Quinn, there's already some positives compared to that we had. Quinn signed off on the trade to Minnesota. Right? Now, he wasn't a free agent. He did get traded, but he had a no-move clause. So wherever he got traded to, he had to approve. So Minnesota was at least good enough for him to go, yeah, I'll go give that a shot. Yeah. He doesn't have a Hughes brother here. This is not where he's from, but he's still closer to home. He grew up as a Midwest boy. And I think when Kirill signed his deal, there was still some questions about whether they were a Stanley Cup contender. Whereas now, to see how the team was playing last year, and then you bring in a Quinn Hughes, Quinn can at least look at the team and go, I think right now, if you look at odds to win the Stanley Cup, the Wild are like top 5, top 6, right? So if you want to win, there's a lot of places in the National Hockey League that you have a less chance of winning than here in Minnesota. So, and then on top of this is, I trust Michael Russo with my life when it comes to Wild news. He hasn't seemed to be panicking at all. He thinks it's going to happen. And frankly, if it wasn't going to happen, I think Quinn Hughes would give Bill Guerin the courtesy of, hey, I'm not going to resign here after this year. And, that is his Team USA GM, by the way.
Yeah.
Potentially in the future. Like, I think he'd give Bill the courtesy of, hey, I don't want to be here. Go ahead and trade me. And we would have already heard the trade rumors by now, and we haven't heard any of those. So I think ultimately Quinn Hughes is going to be here. It just might be a lot more expensive than what we were once thinking.
Well, in defense of Bill Guerin as well, when I compared it to Kirill, the end result of that was Kirill signed a long-term contract and everyone's happy.
Yes.
So
that one went right to the wire.
But it did, though, and it made me panic.
On the fan survey, they agreed with me. They number 2 was the most sought-after choice at 41.1%. 3 was at 25.9%. It was, and 5 was only 3.5%. So it was definitely on the belief that Quinn Hughes will be returning. Next question. Kaprizov set a new standard for NHL players with his 8-year, $17 million AAV deal last fall. Which of these best summarizes your opinion of the extension? Way too low, a little too low, fair deal, a little too high, or way too much?
I think it's easy to say in the moment, and a lot of people did. How high? Is he really the highest paid player in the NHL? I think welcome to the game of signing superstars. That's just how the game is played. And he's already not the highest paid player. I think there's one. It's Carlson.
Macklin Celebrini just moved ahead of him, too.
Yep, exactly. So,
and then Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes could both be in that boat.
Yep. So
at least on an AAV standpoint.
So with that in mind, that, what is it, a year on from that extension? There's 3 or 4 guys ahead of him or will be ahead of him. To me, it's a fair deal. You're paying superstar money. You want him on the team. And the misconception that I hate is that, he couldn't afford him. Another team would have paid that. Like, there was no talking him down if money was the only thing. There was another team that's going to pay that money for Kaprizov. So your options are you let him walk for free because he had a no move, or you re-sign him at that price because you want him on your team. And I think the Wild did the right thing. I would say fair deal.
I would go with the consensus here. The consensus was a little too high. I would say it was a little too high. Not significant. I'm talking, $2 million, right? Too high. Yeah. 17 is still a lot. And we might look at this 3 years from now, to your point, right? I mean, you've already had two guys go over it. McCarr and Quinn Hughes could easily go over this before the season even starts. And for all we know, the salary cap just keeps going up higher and higher and higher. That'd be a great thing. We definitely know it's going up higher next year. But 3-4 years from now, maybe it keeps going up even higher. And there's a bunch of players making over $17 million. And at that point, but Kirill Kaprizov's a superstar. I don't know if he's a $17 million superstar. I would put him more in like that $14, $15 million. So I would say, and not a drastic overpay, and you can overcome it. But I would say just a slight overpay. I would agree with the majority on that one. All right. How satisfied are you with the price that the Wild paid for Quinn Hughes? Rossi, Z. Bouillon, Liam Ogren, and a first-round pick. Would you say that was a Wild steal, a fair deal, a little too much given up, or Canucks deal?
So this was the one that when I was filling it out, that I had to hesitate the most, and I was going back and forth between fair deal and a little bit too much given up. I don't think it was a steal either which way, because it is a high price. And when it first came out, I was like, there was sticker shock there. I couldn't believe how much they gave up. And obviously you see Quinn play one game in the Wild sweater and you're like, okay, that's fine. We'll take that. I go back and forth. I probably would say it's a fair deal, but maybe just a hint too much. But at the end of the day, would I do it again? Yes. So I'd probably say fair deal.
It's definitely not Canucks steal.
No.
I would even say I don't think it's a little too much given up. I think it's either a fair deal. The word steals a lot. That sounds like we just came in and just took everything from them and they got nothing out of it. So I don't like the word steal on the Wild side. But I do think this trade favors the Wild more than it favors the Vancouver Canucks. Okay, because between those four players, Rossi, Bouillon, Ogren, and a first-round pick, and I'm not sure who they drafted on their first-round pick, none of those four are becoming a Quinn Hughes, period. We are getting the best player in this deal, no doubt about it. Like, Quinn Hughes is Hall of Fame potential type of talent, type of player.
It's cool to have in a Wild sweater.
Marco Rossi can be a fine forward. Liam Ogren's going to be a fine middle six forward. Z. Bouillon was always going to be the wild card in this, so we'll see if a couple years from now, if Bouillon comes anything close to Quinn Hughes, that's a heck of a mountain to climb. If he gets anywhere close to Quinn Hughes, you might be able to say Vancouver got a good side of this deal, but I would give up all four of those guys. Now, the backside of this is we're now in a position where it'd be great to have some young talent, given how much salary we are going to be paying if we bring back Quinn Hughes. We're back to needing young guys on cheap contracts to perform for you. And that's where it would have been nice to have some of these. And the other aspect of this is because we gave up so much for Quinn Hughes, now when it comes to going out and getting a number one center, we don't have the assets to do it anymore because we traded so much for Quinn Hughes. But I would do that in a heartbeat again because he's an absolute stud.
Well, and I agree with you, because if the Canucks came back and said, reverse, give us back Quinn and we'll give you back everything, I'd say no.
Nope.
So yeah, I agree.
The only way it was ever going to be a failure for the Wild was to what you're saying earlier. If Quinn Hughes goes, I don't want to be here. I'm not going to be here past this year. If you're not here past this year, but even then, like, I think it was worth the risk because you can recoup. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get off a level of trade that you just had there with all four of those guys because he's only got one more left on his deal. But you can still recoup a good chunk. The people are still going to pay up to bring in Quinn Hughes. So, how satisfied are you with the price the Wild paid for Blake Coleman and Ole Mata, which would be Jake Middleton and 3 draft picks, including a second, with Coleman coming at half price? Would you say Wild steal, fair deal, a little too much given up, or flame steal?
This is one that is going to change when the season starts and when we see what Blake Coleman brings to the forward group and if he produces, and if how solid is Mata at this point in his career. So it could change. Standing here right now, just looking at it on paper, I'd say it's a fair deal. I don't think it was, a steal but I think it's fine, and we certainly didn't get fleeced either. So I'm kind of just pending on this one. I really want to see what Coleman brings. I mean, I think Mata's going to be a serviceable Middleton-esque. He'll be second line or third line defensive pairing, and he'll be fine. So
I expected Jake Middleton to be traded this summer.
Me too.
What I didn't expect was us for just like bring back another defenseman on the other way. Like I thought we're like, hey, we're going to use him as a way to cut salary to be able to fit in Quinn Hughes, to be able to bring in a number one center or a top six forward. Guys like Jake Middleton, their salary has to be gone. And then when they brought Ole Mata back, basically just like $1 million in savings, I'm like, I did not see that coming. Blake Coleman's going to be the wild card here. He's a quality player, and I would imagine he's going to give you a little bit of an upgrade, different type of player, but an upgrade over Marcus Johansson on that second line. I'm fine with the trade. I hope it just doesn't, from a salary standpoint, doesn't prevent them from going out and get someone else. But I would just call this a fair deal. Here's where we get fun stuff here, Brett. Line related stuff.
Love it.
Assuming the Wild don't acquire another center, which of the team's current centers should play with Kaprizov? Joel Eriksson-Ek, Hunter Haight, Ryan Hartman, Charlie Stramel, Danila Yurov.
To me, I would go Yurov. And if you want to do the put all your eggs in one basket and do Ek and Boldy on his line, you can. And I wouldn't totally oppose that. To me, I would like to see, talk about the Vikings all the time, I want to see if Yurov can take that step this year and be Kirill's guy. And he has he's defensively responsible. He's got some offensive skill. And I just think that Ek on that second line and plays, he can have more versatility as far as we'll throw that line out against another team's top line and still have an element of shutdown, and you're not forcing the Kirill to play defense all the time. So I would go with Yurov and see what you got.
Yeah, the next question we're about to talk about after this is going to play into this as well, but I don't like the idea of loading up everyone on your one line and then just playing with three basically third lines and trying to get scoring elsewhere. So I like Joel Eriksson-Ek not on the line with Kaprizov to give you some scoring balance on a different line. Hunter Haight is, still unproven. Charlie Stramel, even more so unproven. I don't even know if Charlie Stramel is going to make the team to begin with, let alone just throw him on a first line with Kirill Kaprizov. If he can do it, that's great. That would be a heck of a steal of a first round pick. So to me, it comes down, the majority went with you on Danila Yurov at 41.1%. I would say with Yurov, I'm open to it, but I think that's one of those where you get into camp and you try him for a practice or two, or maybe for a preseason game, you put them together. But that's after seeing an off season of his development, and has he gotten bigger and stronger? Has he gained more confidence? I need to see it out of him as opposed to just blindly putting him on with Kaprizov. But as of right now, I would throw Ryan Hartman on that line with him. Not that Hartman is a prototypical first-line center. He's not. But at least they've shown some chemistry with each other in the past. But unfortunately, they might not have a great winger with him.
They have shown chemistry, and he can do it. I'm tired of it. I would like to see something different, because we know what that is.
I'm open to seeing how much Yurov has developed over the summer, right? It was so I'm not shutting the door on Yurov. But a lot of what we're saying is based off of what we saw last year. He's still a young kid who can make progress and get better. So I'm definitely open to Yurov. I'm just saying, if we're going off of what I've seen, which was Yurov last season, I would say Ryan Hartman, based off of last year, is in a better spot than Yurov if Yurov hasn't made a jump.
Well, the right answer is Dylan Larkin.
Well,
that's the ideal situation.
Well, let's continue with the line stuff then. Which winger should play with Kaprizov? Matt Boldy, Bobby Brink, Blake Coleman, Hunter Haight, Maxim Shabanov, or Danila Yurov?
This is the biggest wild card probably in the entire survey, because I don't know what Shabanov, I don't even know how to pronounce his name yet. We will once the season gets here. I have no idea what he brings. I know from what I've read that he was a star in the KHL. The Wild have coveted him for a while, and they're happy to have him now. I just don't know what he brings. I can watch blurry YouTube highlights from the KHL if I want, or some of his highlights from last year. So to me, if I had to pick right now, I'd probably give the first shot to Brink and see what happens there. Doesn't mean he's locked in forever. Brink had highs and he had lows last year. So, or maybe it would be Shabanov if they like what they see in camp. But I just don't want to resort to the Boldy pairing off the rip of the season. If we have to do it, we have to do it. But I'd rather spread them out and spread the love.
I really don't like any of these answers. That's the problem.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Clearly Matt Boldy's the best player, but if ideally those two are separated, and there might be times in games where maybe you're trailing by a goal or offensive zone face-off with 30 seconds to go, where you put Boldy and Kaprizov out on the ice together. But I like the idea of having balanced scoring. The problem is I don't know if Kaprizov's going to be scoring like he did in previous years, and we're going to get to that next question. Yeah, next. But Bobby Brink, the thing with Kaprizov, what made it work with Zuccarello is Zuccarello thinks the game at such a high level and has such great vision that him and Kaprizov could think the same way. And the guys on this list, like Bobby Brink, clearly can play with some speed and plays with a good motor. I just don't know if he can think the same way Kaprizov does. Hunter Haight is still way too green. Blake Coleman, maybe. Yurov, I haven't even seen him at wing, really. He's been playing mostly center, and once again, he'd have to make a big jump this summer. I guess I would go with Shabanov by default, but I think, to your point, there's still another move to be made here before the season, and they still need to find a way to fill out their top six. And even if that move isn't made before the season, during the season, they are going to address finding another top six forward. I'm convinced they'll make that move at some point. All right. Did you agree with the Wild's? I should mention Shabanov got most of the vote, 51.9% to be the winger with Kaprizov. Did you agree with the Wild's decision to cut ties with Zuccarello? No, or it was time?
Just quickly, I do love Kaprizov, Yurov, Shabanov.
That's a lot of ovs.
That's a lot of ovs.
That's a lot of ovs.
Fetisov. With Zuccarello, I do think it was time. You'd rather cut ties 1 year early and then watch the fall off happen somewhere else. Father Time's undefeated. It's coming for everybody, and especially athletes. And Zuccarello's not, he's probably teeing off on 17, maybe even on 17 green at his career. So I do think it was time. How much the north, south, east, west thing is going to play in, we'll see. I certainly think a microcosm of that was the final play of the Wild season, where it was Kaprizov and I think Boldy on the other side. Kaprizov had a shot. It was a high-quality shot, passed on it. Pass went haywire. Avs go the other way. Season's over. I think that's a microcosm of what they're thinking. But we'll see how much that actually plays in practice. But I would say it was time, and I'd rather do it now than watch the downfall happen in front of us.
The majority of fans agreed with you. It was time, got 59.1%. No, says 40.9%. I would say no. This is my biggest concern with the Wild's offseason. You can say you want to go north-south. Just be careful what you wish for. Those two have had a lot of success together. They've been great on the power play together. They thought the same way. One of Kaprizov's biggest strengths is sitting on the half wall there and getting those one-timers, and nobody made those passes to him better than Matt Zuccarello. I think also you risk angering Kirill Kaprizov, who was BFFs with Matt Zuccarello.
Gotta learn sometime.
Well, I mean, they were going to break up at some time, but you can tell me all you want. Well, Matt Zuccarello's getting old, and the end might be coming. He hasn't shown any signs of the end coming. So yeah, and I still think he would have stayed here on a very affordable contract. I think he would have given you a hometown discount because he already has in previous seasons.
Yeah.
I don't know. And maybe they'll go out and get a top six forward, and then, right, if you get a Dylan Larkin, I understand you can only spend so much money and you are going to have to cut money elsewhere. But the way the roster is currently constructed, I think that is going to be a huge void on that top line, not having Matt Zuccarello.
I think going back to the last couple questions of who's going to play wing with Kaprizov and seeing those options, I don't hate you for thinking that because the
other options are not great.
You just would hope. It's kind of like the Wolves with the 4 when LeBron was done. Like, you would hope that there's something else coming that they can fill that spot out, whether it is Larkin or somebody else. We'll find out.
All right, there's still a bunch of wild survey questions left. We're not going to have much open time the rest of the Tennafitzgerald. Maybe 2:15. I do have to give you my fantasy football league winner at tight end, but we might have some more time during the 2:15 segment, I guess, depending on how long program password goes. So maybe we'll get back to some more of those wild fan survey questions around 2:15. But up next, it's the Smoke Show from Glencoe. I would say she's a green flag. We'll talk about that next.
If the boats are rocking, Tenna must be talking. You're on board the Tennafitzgerald.